Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to one of two lives that we're doing for the month of March, which is Women's History Month. We celebrate women all the time on the channel, but we thought we could take some time out and do a Women in Horror live since we've been trying to, make an effort to focus on that a
Going
little bit more.
extra hard this month.
Extra love for women in horror. But yeah, so we've been doing this Women in Horror series every like 5 days or so, kind of focusing on like indie women, like, in the indie horror community. And so now we're just going to kind of talk bigger, I guess, in terms of, people who stick out to us when we think of like women who have influenced horror, who were maybe game changing for us growing up as these just different roles in the genre. And so I know we've got like some directors, some writers, we've got quite a slew of things that we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of influential women on our lists. And this isn't a ranking, right? We're not like ranking.
No. Just kind of a general chat about like, what it's, about the women that we post. Because this is going to be a slightly shorter live than usual, but that's only because Stardew Valley released their 1.6 update today, and I told Steve, I was like, I have to have time to play that tonight. So
you got it. That's part of self-care. And I know Stardew Valley is a very chill game. I started playing it, so
it makes me so happy. Like it's like the only thing that came up was a story element that I couldn't figure out. That's the only thing that's really frustrated me. Because if things frustrate you, you can just go do something else. Like it's not like another type of game where like you get stuck on it. Anyway, that's not a Stardew Valley left. But anyway, so I'm very excited. And I was looking at the list of all the things that they changed, and I'm like, I'm so excited.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so but I don't know. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Do you have a preference?
Oh yeah, I can name someone. So
yeah.
Well, I'll start off with some of the behind the scenes. So someone that I think of like she may not necessarily have sort of a long repertoire in terms of horror, but I think she sort of takes her time, and when she does have a horror project, I feel like she has something important to say, and that's Diablo Cody, who did Jennifer's Body. She both wrote, and I believe she wrote and produced it.
Yeah.
And then she also wrote and produced Lisa Frankenstein.
Oh, and I haven't seen that one yet, but I'm sure I'm going to love it.
Yeah, no, we're not going to spoil any of the projects, but I think what's really cool is that she does instill a strong feminist take and approach to horror and the female characters. I mean, even when you look at Jennifer's Body and like the villain of the movie, right, and really taking a look at what that's all about, and and how women are treated and looked at, and expectations on women, and all of the above, and using horror as a really cool vehicle to tell these stories.
Yeah, and like I watched Jennifer's Body for the first time, I think relatively close to when it came out, and I didn't, because I don't know how else to explain it. I didn't really understand Megan Fox. So I had like this thing where I was like, this is awful. But coming into womanhood and seeing it later, I think it just hits so different. I mean, it's the way that this discusses sexuality and gender norms. And I mean, it just really covers so many things while still being, not getting lost in that, and still being a really fun horror movie, because it's a fun one. It's not, the subject matter is quite serious and goes and can be dark at times, but overall it's a really fun, film to watch too. So it's entertaining.
Oh, absolutely. And for everyone interested, so I have her filtered on IMDb as just her horror projects, but she's done a lot of other stuff as well. Some with like a little horror influence to it.
Okay. I probably haven't seen anything else that she's done.
She was behind. I think it got canceled, but she was gonna do the reboot reimagining of the Powerpuff Girls.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah,
they were going to be on like CW, but it was going to be sort of like a tongue-in-cheek parody with again with like a sort of a feminist lens.
Sure.
Yeah. But I think the studios sort of.
That probably would have been fun. Probably would have been
feel like it could have been really fun.
And with her specifically being involved, I mean, I can see it easily being trash in the wrong hands, but
Mhm.
I think, you know, we get
Yeah, but as far as like in the drama sphere, she did United States of Tara, which is with Toni Collette, and there's sort of like a multiple personality situation going on, and that was on Showtime, which was a really good dramedy.
yeah.
Children's Hospital, she did. Yeah, like a handful of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I only know the Jennifer's Body. Well, and Lisa Frankenstein, but I haven't seen it yet, but I know that's the only thing I've seen of hers is
I
Jennifer's
think
Body.
Lisa Frankenstein is rentable. I don't know how much it is, but I think it's in
I
that
think
like
it's $20 right now.
right because it's sort of like that early streaming
It's
thing that they
still
do
in,
where you
yeah.
have to pay the price of the ticket. But I think
Yep.
in like a couple of months it'll probably go on. I forget who the studio is, but that'll probably be on a streaming platform pretty
It'll be
soon.
on something. Yeah. I will be jumping in as soon as it gets released. I really want to see it. I just can't get to the theaters to see it. So
Yeah. Well, things happen. Things come out so quickly now. It's like you feel like you're not even really missing out if you don't go see something in theaters.
that's true. Like the talk, what is it called? Talk,
Oh, talk to me.
late night with the devil.
Oh, Late
Jesus.
Night with the Devil. Well, that's going to be
That's,
Shutter.
yeah, but people are able to see it now.
Oh, okay. Well, I know like in the UK, I don't know if Shutter streams everywhere. I know the UK is getting it in theaters.
Yeah, so I know there's some people who were getting it in theaters too,
Okay.
and then it
Well,
gets released like a
on
month
Shutter.
later on Shutter.
Yeah, I think but it's pretty quick on Shutter. It's not like I think it's probably like a week or so early.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay.
So, but like I feel like, and I'm one of those people, I know people like hate this, but I really feel like more things should be available you know, on streaming platforms for those of us who can't get to the theaters.
Oh, absolutely.
What's up, Rick? Thanks for coming by.
Cheers for a big bottle of beer. Is that a thing?
That's what they say. Yeah, that's what they
Oh,
say
that's your
when they do.
catchphrase. I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, that's your cat.
Yeah. I'm not drinking beer. I'm drinking coffee, but
I think the coffee crib. You need your caffeine.
yeah, I'm out of soda, so this is all I got. But yeah, no, that's a good one. I really love Jennifer's Body. And because statement horror for me can be so hit or miss in that sense. It's like the Babadook. I hate that movie. I don't like it. I appreciate and respect everything about what it tried to do. But as a horror film, it fell super flat for me. I did not like it. And but it covers a lot of really important things. Like it really does. Postpartum, PTSD, it covers a lot of stuff. And I appreciate that, but that's like all it was statement. It was like so little horror in my opinion that I just like, but Jennifer's Body I felt like is a better balance of the two things where you get your message, you get the depth, but it's also a really good movie. And I like when it can be both things.
Yeah, you have to sort of have a good balance. You have to dedicate the time to delivering a good horror movie, however you would define that, and whatever message it is. You know, you do both. You know, I think sometimes people just struggle with that balance.
Sure. Yeah, I think it can be hard. Hey, Lauren. You'll be in the next one.
Yeah. Oh, and for anyone watching, Nora and I just recorded. We are doing a breakdown of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
So Angel didn't know that, and I came into this and I was like, "Why is the house from Courage?"
Oh, I left the.
I was like, "Why?" All right, cool. And it was like, anyway, it's just funny because I came in and I was like, I recognize this.
Just leave things as backgrounds as like pranks for when you go in
and mess with me. That's not nice. Never seen Jennifer's. It's really good. It's a monster movie, and it's kind of silly. It's fun. It's good. Just dropping by and scooping up dinner, then catch a couple hours of sleep before work. Oh, well, enjoy dinner with the family. Have a good night at work. Thanks for coming by, Norin. We always love when we love seeing your name. Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
It is radar. Watching it right now. I know we're getting far from women in horror. I guess there's Muriel.
Muriel's the best.
Muriel. But rewatching it now, you can really appreciate it on a whole different level.
Yeah. Who doesn't? Courage was like gateway horror. Really, Courage and Scooby-Doo.
Yep. And I was so impressed with Norin's like Scooby-Doo breakdown. I was like, we should do Courage or something. So we're
That's great.
covering
No,
the
I love
first
it. Yeah.
3 episodes. So it's like 6 segments that we, 6 of the stories we talked about
Yeah.
in 45 minutes. So we crammed a lot in there.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of episodes to get through though, isn't there?
It's like, well, if you break it down, it's like it's 13 episodes a season, 4 seasons. So it's
Oh, it's
like,
not as many as it feels like there is. It feels like
no, but every episode is like 2 segments, so you got to break it down by story.
sure, sure, sure.
So it could feel like a lot, but it's not. But then there's also really cool stuff where like Courage crossed over with Scooby. Like there's
Yep.
other peripheral stuff that they did,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
what's your first pick?
I'm gonna kind of stick with your theme here and do someone, especially when we're talking about statement horror. Have you seen The Bone Woman?
No, is that Sarah?
No, this is the director's name is I apologize if I butcher this. The director's name is Michelle Garza Cervera, Cervera.
Mm-hmm.
What can I say about this to get this across without being too spoilery? So, it's a story about a woman who becomes pregnant finally after trying for a long time with her husband. And she starts seeing this very creepy woman and these crazy things start happening. But that's probably the least amount I could say about it. You need to, if you, anybody else, including Steve, is watching this and you have not seen The Bone Woman, it is a legitimately terrifying movie. It was actually scary. It made me super uncomfortable. The day after I watched it, I was telling Addie about it, and I was like, I was getting uncomfortable just telling her about it. I was like, this movie was so scary and it's so good. But the thing about this movie is that its entire premise is actually that about the life that women are told they're supposed to lead.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The getting married to a man, the having a baby the natural way, meeting meeting the expectations of your family, discarding any part of your life that you may actually want because it doesn't fit with them. It's very queer in nature, but
Mhm.
it was one of those things where I as a mother was not super thrilled about some of the story elements, but as a woman and as someone who wants to choose her own path, it was a very effective experience, I will say.
Okay.
At the lens that the story is told through and what she deals with and what it really is trying to say. And again, just like I was saying with Jennifer's Body, is this film, The Bone Woman, isn't just a great statement piece and a great lens for other people besides women to watch and get an idea of what that feels like and what that looks like and how ridiculous it is. It's a legitimately scary movie. There's some moments in this that I watch a lot of this by myself in my room at night,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh, like there were things about it that just really got to me. And it was such an effective movie. But the director's name is Michelle Garza Cervera. And she, the vision, the way this was shot, the direction, like you can tell the way that this impacted how you felt when you were watching this film. And it was utterly brilliant. By far, one of my favorite releases from last year.
Oh wow. Okay. Is it on Shutter?
It's on something. It might be Shutter. It's on something.
Okay. I feel like you sure it's not called like Sarah the Bone
It
Woman?
is. I just
Oh, okay, okay. That's
didn't
what I was
want to
thinking.
butcher the Spanish name, so I just said the part I knew I wouldn't mess up.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I was like,
But it is.
I
Yes, it's the
remember the
same.
bone. I remember. I can picture the poster in my head. Yeah,
Yes, with all the oh my god, brilliant. Like
but
you have to watch
you
it.
recommend it.
It's so good. Like I was not impressed with a lot of horror that came out last year, but that's up there.
Yeah,
It was
last year
so
was
good.
pretty. I think we had some gems, but I think
We
overall
did.
it was no 2022. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
2022 was hard. That was a hard year to narrow down for like top
Yeah,
lists and stuff.
yeah. No, that year was a banger.
But last year
Uh,
I couldn't even come up with 10 movies that I liked enough to talk about them. I really couldn't.
that's okay. That's it. There are going to be years like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't feel there were plenty of people who got a lot out of what, which is great. I'm always happy when horror fans get things that make them happy. But yeah, that and I think Saw X, and I know there's like one more movie I saw last year that was good. But a lot of my 2023 movies that I loved were movies that I just saw for the first time in 2023, but didn't necessarily come out in
They were
2023.
not, yeah, made like the year prior or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But how do you say it? Who's Sarah? Is that how you say
Sarah?
it?
Who's
Who's
Sarah?
Sarah?
I'm not. not
The
my
Bone Woman.
native language, but I think it's Hispanic.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, if you gotta watch it, it's so good. But the vision on that tells a story that I think that this was directed in such a way that you can't help, no matter whether you're female or not, you will feel the things that I think this is meant to make you feel.
Okay. I mean, that shot up right to the top of my list then.
Yeah, it's super, super good. You'll have to let me know like as soon as you watch it. So that was one of the
Sure.
first ones on my list was the director Michelle Garza Cervera from The Bone Woman.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like indie films, smaller films,
Yeah.
I wanted to shout out Chloe Akuno, who came on the scene. I mean, she's done
Damn.
some. Yeah. Oh, we shared.
Yeah.
So,
That's good
we should
though.
ran.
That's good. That's good though.
Yeah,
No, we
yeah.
can
We
still
should have
talk
ran
about
by
it.
each other.
Doesn't
But like,
matter.
she's so her segment, Storm Drain on VHS 94,
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
Such a good one of my favorites. I mean, that's one of my
Yep.
favorite VHSs in that series.
Yep. Same.
And then Watcher was so
Watcher.
good.
Yeah.
Was incredible, right?
Yeah, it was good.
And then Watcher I know it had a limited run in theaters. I mean, it deserved to be in theaters for sure.
Yeah.
And then it went to streaming. I think on
I
Shudder.
saw it. Yeah, I saw it on streaming. I didn't go to theater.
Yeah. I think I saw it I don't think I saw it in theaters. It was definitely streaming when I saw it.
Okay.
Actually, I might have gotten a screener for it now that I'm thinking.
Yes. There was
you
a
got a
screener
screener.
for it. But I don't think I watched the screener. I think I just waited until it came out because I wasn't sure about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
But the suspense and well, particularly Watcher. I mean, it was so great.
Yeah.
You know, it was really intense, and I loved sort of the belief factor in it. Of like people not believing her, it's sort of
Paranoia.
this was that
And the paranoia. Like there's so many good things with this.
the paranoia, like I mean, believing women and what's going on, or it's sort of like the paranoia played out so well, and
Yes.
and the fact that she so Bern Gorman, who played the Watcher in it, he's so
He's
such a good villain.
scary, right?
I mean, I don't know if he would take this offensively, but he has such a creepy face. I mean, it's sort of why I guess it works for him.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
but
effective for this, at least.
it's effective for this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rick's never seen Jennifer's body.
I know he's got to fix that.
Yeah. It's good. It's worth the watch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Micah Monroe, who was
Watch
in
her
it,
more like watch her create an
amazing-
incredible
What?
Radar. I'm laughing at Radar.
Oh,
But
I like that. But Micah, so I guess the lead in Watcher was also in It Follows, which I know you're not super crazy about, but
not even a little bit. Yep. We'll probably never watch the sequel when it comes out.
Fair. But yeah, just another little horror connection there. But but Chloe Akuno, I'm excited. I don't know. I didn't write it down. If she has any upcoming horror happening.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I think with Watcher, it was, and I talk about this like all the time. It comes up constantly. Like my biggest, or my least favorite trope in horror is women not being believed.
Yeah.
And it's like a subsidiary of that. Women who all this shit happens to them and then they end up just being crazy or making it up or imagining it at the end. Stop doing that. Like, cut it out. And so this, it was a slow burn.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, for sure.
I think JR is on Horror Fiend right now, like chatting. JR and I talked about this. We did it for something. We talked about it for a review, or I don't know, maybe we were just messaging about it. But the thing is like when we're talking about The Watcher, is that like we both thought we knew exactly where this movie was going, and we were incorrect. Yeah. It ended up that she was right that whole time. Yeah,
which is it's vindicating.
It is vindicating because then you're like, see?
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy they went that route where they went that direction.
That's how you know there was a female involved. Honestly, I'm genuinely like.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, it's good to see her in something good.
Sorry,
I'm done. That's not. Yeah. What's up, Jared?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was no. That's the reason that I had her that I had Chloe on my list, is because even though like the Watcher as a film, I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. I don't think it's a perfect film, but it
Mm-mm.
covers what it feels like to feel isolated as a female and to go out into that movie theater scene, Steve, that is every day as a woman in the real world.
Oh,
Every
I'm
day.
sure.
And so like when I got to that part, I was like, I am so uncomfortable right now. I did. I hated him. There's that part at the party, JR knows, and I know, and you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about, where he says what he says to her. I would have knocked him out.
Oh, right in
I
front of
would have
yeah.
knocked him out straight. I would have just hit him as hard as I could. I was so mad at
In front
him.
of everyone. Just that's it.
The way he treated her, I'm like, okay, you want to make a show? Let's make a fucking show. I would have been so mad. I hated him so much. Hated him. I did
Mm-mm.
like her though, which is good because you're supposed to care about what happens to
Yeah,
her.
no, I think you're supposed to be pissed off with the husband. I think it's supposed to,
It's meant to be that way. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
even her own husband isn't a support for her. Isn't like a, you know,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
trash.
But yeah, no,
Divorce.
I mean, nothing's listed on IMDb is coming up. But she's worked on the I didn't see this, but the Let the Right One In series. I don't know if it's good or not.
I didn't know there was a series.
Yeah, I think it what
A
channel?
series like a show?
Yeah, they did a show version of it. I don't know if it got canceled or if it's still going. It looks like it got canned. I don't know, but it could have just been a limited series. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the first season ended in December of 22. So
I did not know it was a series. I love the movie, the original.
the
I
original
haven't
movie.
seen the redo with Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah.
Should cover that with Scott on remakes because I'm a massive fan of the original. The
Yeah.
original.
I mean, like both. Yeah.
Oh, she was good in Significant Other. I was not as blown away with that movie as other people were, but she is never the issue for me. Never. Whenever I've seen her in something, it's the writing or the story or not the writing, the story, the writing or like the way the movie. I don't know. Like I hated It Follows, and Significant Other was like, meh. And then she's in Long Legs.
I meant Chloe Acuna. I don't know if she's directing or writing something coming up, but yeah, Micah. Yeah, so she's
If she is, it maybe just hasn't been announced yet because I feel like we would have heard it in relation to the stuff that she's done already.
Yeah, I mean because she's in the indie scene, I don't, it's not like it's sort of like
right
Paramount or someone putting out a press release on
sure,
this, what I mean?
Yeah.
So things come out a little bit slower.
They do. It's true.
But but Chloe. So I mean, I guess that's both a pick. But you guys, you want to take the next one?
Yeah. So one of my next ones is an effects artist, and this is a big one because I didn't know this, and I'm really upset that I didn't know it until I started researching women that I thought I wanted to talk about as far as influential and women who made a difference in horror. Did you know that the creature from the Black Lagoon was designed by a woman?
I did not.
Yeah. All the effects were done. Let me look at this, my cheat sheet over here. So
I just rewatched that recently. Well, not recently. By recently, I mean like last Halloween season.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. Her name is Millicent Patrick.
Okay.
And she is solely responsible for the makeup effects for Creature from the Black Lagoon. She went on to do other things too. But this is like, that's a big deal.
Well, that's history making, right? That's iconic.
1950s, a woman being like the sole like creator of something involving film. Yeah. That's a big deal.
It is really huge. And it's not just like because women tend to do get, in that, especially that time, right? Get relegated to like hair and makeup. The fact that she did like full on prosthetic and costume work like that.
Yeah. There's some great, if you want to look it up later, there's some great pictures of her holding the mask and the stuff while she's working on it.
Yeah.
See you, Radar. We'll talk soon. Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like, and what's crazy is I don't think very many people know that. I don't think many people know because whenever people talk about like the behind the scenes of Creature from the Black Lagoon, they always talk about the lack of oxygen tanks and how dangerous it was, and how the guy who was making it was like, nope, you just can't breathe underwater. Good luck. Let's film it. Go. Like there's a lot that people talk about. I have never heard a single person cover this film and discuss a female being the effects artist for the film. I've never heard that before. No idea.
People don't really people don't focus on her as like sort of being the, well, I've never like watched a documentary or anything about it. So
no. And the creature is the main character. Like,
right. Like who created it?
And I've never, but anyway, her name is Millicent Patrick. And she did the effects for Creature from the Black Lagoon.
That's awesome. She should be right. I mean, that's horror history.
It is. And then you think about and talk about influential, right? Like all of the things that she influenced from just that look. How many other aquatic horror films have you seen that use similar things? Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Abe from Hellboy. There's all kinds of aquatic things that come from like that same look. It's wild to me. I just feel so crazy for not knowing that. Cause I like the OG monsters a lot. And the Creature from the Black Lagoon is one of my top 3 for the franchise for those films. And I can't believe I didn't know that. So
you just gave me an idea for next March. I won't spoil it on here, but we'll have to talk. We'll plan for Women in Horror next month. You gave me with that little tidbit. You gave me an idea.
Ooh, really cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So so I just makeup effects is something that when you're talking about film, especially when it's all practical, like obviously this was in the 50s, that is such a critical part of what makes a film effective. And what's crazy is, speaking of Shape of Water, is Del Toro talks about when he got into making monsters and wanting to do films like this. This is the movie that changed his life. He talks openly in interviews about watching it and seeing it in theaters as a child and seeing it and the emotional impact it had on him, seeing that creature and the way that it was designed and the way that it looked and the way that it moved and all these things. And it's just, I mean, he's like, when I think horror monsters, he's who I think of. And this woman has a large part to play in what influenced him to be what he is, or, the things that he decided to do. And
I mean, you always hear about, like sort of like a man who sort of set it up, or like, especially in that era, right? Like it was mostly men who were doing it. And then to literally be the person that influences so many others, literally being like, the grandmother of that kind of creature.
Yeah. And I hope that she lived. I didn't look to see when she passed away. I hope she lived long enough to know of the impact that she had, because like, if you're going to die happy, right? Like that would be it. Like, seeing all the things that came from it, and, monsters and aliens and stuff were on TV before then, but the Universal monster movies are really what really, really cemented that subgenre in horror, and the early work in it, which we'll talk about again in a little while. But it's critical. And when you think about what it did and all of the things that it propelled forward, like, I don't know, I literally, like, you should have seen me when I found this information. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, a woman did those effects. And I've never heard, although I guess that's the point. That's why we have to have a whole ass month about it. Because otherwise,
all the history that got swept under the rug, right?
Yeah. So Millicent Patrick did the effects for The Creature from the Black Lagoon in 1954. And she's like a new idol for me. Like, I love that so much. Like, I want to read so much more about her life now.
I would love to learn more. I'm sure there's got to be books or stuff out there on
maybe
her.
An autobiography, something.
Maybe we'll do a Voices branded documentary, diving into her life and times as the good ideas.
Maybe we could find.
It was an idea for next March, but maybe.
But yeah, so that was another one that was on my list that I don't know. That one blew me away. I'm telling you, Steve. I was like not prepared. I was like, wait, I'm sorry. And then I was like fact checking. I was like, is that real? Well, let me look, because I don't know, but it's real.
Shame that you have to like doubt it, right? Like
Well,
that.
like,
That's
who allowed that back then? Because it feels like it wouldn't have been allowed, but
yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean sometimes, right? Like little awesome things slip through, like all the stupidity of the times, right?
And imagine if someone else's eyes had been on it, what it would have looked like. Anyway, doesn't matter. She did a great job, but it's
That's
crazy to think about.
I know.
Yeah.
So my next pick, so it's someone very similar to like Diablo,
Mhm.
or even Chloe. Their repertoire in horror not very long. Really, I'm just there thinking about one particular movie, and so that's Nia DaCosta,
I knew those were, oh, yes.
who did the new Candyman.
Oh,
And not only does she not really have a long repertoire in horror, she doesn't really have a long list of things that
she's
she
really
she
done a few
really is
things.
a new filmmaker. She's done like some podcast work, some shorts, some writing, but like they really gave her so she wrote it and I believe she directed it too.
She directed it for
Yeah,
sure. I didn't know she wrote it.
she wrote and directed it.
So is it just produced by Monkey Paw? Or I mean,
So it's produced by Monkey Paw. So Jordan Peele just sort of was like liked what she was she liked what he liked what she was all
I didn't know
about.
she wrote it. That's even more impressive. I love that.
Yeah, she wrote and directed it. And she also directed I guess the short that goes. So I guess it was sort of produced separately. Was the Shadow Puppet short that was then incorporated into the actual
Into
feature.
the movie.
It's funny enough. It's actually listed separately than the movie. If you go on on IMDb,
Oh,
I
that's
think they
interesting.
released the short a year before the movie even came out.
I
I
didn't
think
know
they
that.
used it to advertise it.
Well, that was
Uh,
smart because that's brilliantly done.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, like, her eye for film is absolutely stunning, and then the writing too. Just there were some. They had like some minor gripes with it. Like, if it did feel like the third act was very quick.
Mhm.
But I think that's like the smallest issue I can think of. I mean, like I ate up that 90 minutes or whatever. It was not a long movie at all.
I loved no, I
Giddy.
no, I loved that movie like a lot. Like I loved it. Like the the use of the shadow puppets at the end as well, because it's
Mhm.
at multiple, points in the movie. I left in tears. Like I was
Yeah.
very emotional after seeing that film and the things that the shadow puppet showed. And I was like, no, I loved the way this film was done. I liked I mean, I think this story is a little, I don't know, like I didn't really have a ton of gripes about it, I guess, but I think there were some things that were like just kind of okay, but there were a lot of things that were stunning about the way this film was shot, the way that
Mhm.
it moved, the flow of the story I thought was really nice. But yeah, she is someone who I will watch probably most things that she would put out. Because didn't she do the new Marvel movie, the new
Yeah, she did the Marvels.
the Marvels? Yeah, so she did
Marvel.
that, which I think, given what that one is about, I can only imagine. It's probably, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's great. And
Mhm.
I just watching what she was able to do with a continuation story for Candyman. Because a lot of people still call it a remake. It's not. It's a continuation. Tony Todd, the whole story is in there. Like it's a continuation. But seeing what she was able to do with that, I was like, I became an instant fan of hers. Like
Yeah.
instant.
Well, it's kind of cool. It's like almost like I don't want to like say like it's like a ghost face sort of but approach, but like the any Candyman sort of concept of like is
Yeah.
really just a metaphor for all of these
Yeah.
black men what they've
Yep.
gone through. But
Yep.
it's so good. It really is
So
such a
good.
clever way to take that because obviously the elements of that are in the original. But
Yeah.
given that so much has happened in the world in the last 30 years,
Yeah.
that she was really able to take this story and really make it modern. But really, these issues are unfortunately timeless because these
Yeah.
issues have
There's
always been.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but really incredible. I think just as a writer, and as a filmmaker with an eye for this art, and this particular genre, like
Yeah.
obviously she hit the Marvel, she did a Marvel movie, but like directors can go big and then come back to horror at any point. Like look at James Wan, like went on to do Fast
Yeah.
and Furious and then came back to do
Which is still
wild
very
stuff.
strange to think about. But yes, yes.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
or he also did Aquaman but he's
Yeah.
also comes back and does Malignant. Like, sure.
No. Yeah, and I think it's neat to see that, like, the first big thing she did was in our genre, though, because then it's
Yeah.
like, it's so memorable. Like, I know there were people who had, like, their opinions on it, but I just think that, like, there's that one shot in particular, and I haven't seen it again. I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since it first came out, so you forgive me for not remembering, like, every little detail, but there's that part when he goes to the apartment to see that woman,
Hmm.
and he leaves, right? And we get that incredible shot zooming out from the apartment, and we see her get murdered, but we're far away. Like, we're, as the viewers, we're going further and further back as
Oh,
we're
right along the
watching.
glass. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was so good. Like, that's one of my favorite shots of the whole film. I was like, that is so good.
It's beautiful.
God, I loved it so much. But yeah, I became like the day I left that theater and looked up that movie and saw her name associated with it, I was an immediate fan.
Hell yeah. She's got a couple of things coming out. She's got I don't think within the genre though. She has
Oh,
Haida, which is a reimagining of an 1891 epic. That's going to be with Tessa Thompson and Imogen Poots. And then she's got The Lincoln Conspiracy,
oh,
um, based on a book about a secret plot to kill Lincoln and why it failed. So I guess, I don't know if this is like an alternative history sort of situation, almost like A Man in the High Castle,
yeah.
or I don't know. I never heard of this book. But
No,
it seems like she's branching into a lot of different genres, which is cool because it sounds like she wants to, um, you know, she's going from horror to action to feels like drama and maybe sci-fi. I don't know, or
yeah.
like period piece kind of some. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, her doing more stuff can only help I think
Mhm.
any genre. I think she just knows what she's doing. She's
Oh yeah.
somebody you can trust with projects for sure.
Mhm. But yeah, so she's my next uh pick, my next shout out.
Yeah. So I did mine in clusters of, like, theme. So my next one's an effects artist as well. And I'm probably not going to say this right either, but I
Mhm.
think the name is Montse Ribe or Rib, Ribe.
Right.
Um, so
Read.
she is the co-owner of the David Marty, like, effects group, which does a
Mm.
lot of stuff with Del Toro.
Oh.
Um, but she specifically did a lot of work in Crimson Peak
Oh.
and Pan's Labyrinth. And Pan's Labyrinth is like one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love
Women.
that film.
Yeah.
Um, God, that means that she got to work with Doug Jones, like, so much. Anyway, I
Mm.
so so she but whenever I have heard, and I don't know if it's the same for you or anybody else, but whenever I've heard people talk about, like, the effects that are done on Del Toro movies, I usually just hear about David. I have never once heard this other name, Montse. And
Yeah.
but she's the one that did a lot of work on the Pale Man, which is like the coolest, craziest, scariest character ever.
Oh yeah.
Um, specifically him. And then, I think with Crimson Peak, it was like I don't know, there's like different ghosts and stuff in the movie, but anyway, but she works with David Marty in their effects group. I forget the name is it just David Marty Effects? I can't remember, but it's that effects group. And, but yeah, just another, like, I mean, kind of going similarly to, like, Millicent, like, it's all coming around this, like, huge, like, the stuff that she's working on now with Del Toro was the stuff that was influenced by Millicent's work in Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it's just like the what do you call it? Like, the connection there was just crazy. So I was like, I'll talk about both of them because it's, again,
Yeah.
whenever you hear about the effects, you usually hear about the company or the guy that runs it, and so I love that there are women in horror makeup effects that are making these these insane costumes, these insane prosthetics. Because I think she does a lot of the prosthetic work specifically, because there's, like, stages to the process of doing those effects, and it's not all prosthetics. Sometimes it's painting, and sometimes it's
Mhm.
other things. But yeah. So anyway, so I wanted to bring her up too because I think that, again, same thing said with Creature from the Black Lagoon. When you're doing movies that rely on practical effects, these looks and things that these people and these women are able to come up with are what make these films so good and so effective and makes them look good 20 years after they came out. Like, Creature from the Black Lagoon came out in 1954, and if you watch it, it still looks good. Like, it still looks real. It still looks convincing. And it's just a testament to what these women could do, given the opportunity to work in effects. So that was Montse Ribe.
Yeah. And again, just continuing the theme of like so many people are just sort of swept under or overlooked. And, and unfortunately it ends up happening to a lot of women. And particularly in a very male dominated. I mean, film, unfortunately, has always been. It's getting better, but but incredible. And you think of like just like Del Toro's works in general and how influential and how beautiful and unique, and like it takes so many people to create that. And this particular vision that you were saying is like it's important to highlight that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, so, and those monsters in Pan's Labyrinth, like yeah,
historical. Absolutely.
Yeah, historical. People will always be talking about that movie. Came out like a billion years ago. Like, and people when they talk, they still talk about it. Like it's just one that when like people who have seen it, when you bring it up, they're like, oh yeah, love that movie. And the first thing they start talking about is the creature designs in it because they're epic. They're so good. The Pale Man, I'll know, like that will always be one of my like favorite Doug Jones things ever. Like the fawn was cool too, and the frog and everything that they did looked amazing, and the fairies and all of that. But the Pale Man was like
It's been like 20 years now, this movie.
Yeah, it came out in like 2006, I think.
Wow, right. Yeah, almost 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because the little girl ain't so little anymore. No. She's grown up.
Oh.
Yeah.
So so the next one that I want to talk about is that very similar in the sense of like so this is Marty Noxon, so of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and like what do people who does everyone talk about when it comes to Buffy? It's always Joss.
Yeah,
it's always Joss Whedon, and we know there's a lot of issues going on there. Going on there. So I think it's even more important now to say like this show, this world that was created really wasn't just him. We love these Buffy and Angel and all that because of the actors, because of the writers and all the directors and producers. It wasn't really just him. He might have been the loudest voice in the room and the meanest apparently and the worst, but Marnie was a huge part of that. So she directed. So she wrote 39 episodes. She directed 2, produced, I think, most of the series.
Oh, a lot of it.
It only ran for 7 seasons. So, like, to say that she, wrote almost 40 of them is pretty big. That's almost 2 full seasons of episodes.
What 2 episodes did she direct? Do you know? I'm just curious.
She directed.
I didn't know she directed any, I don't think, until you told me. I knew writing and producing, yes, but.
So she directed 2 in season 5, Into the Woods.
Okay.
So Buffy catches Riley in the clutches of a vampire junkie, right? That episode. And then she did Forever, which was with help from Spike. Dawn attempts to bring Joyce back from the dead. So that's a powerful one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. So the ones that she wrote, just to me, I'm gonna look through. I don't have the whole list in front of me, but
no, that's not. I was just curious because I know she was, and I knew that. I mean, I've looked into so many Buffy things, and like obviously Joss is the one that gets all the credit, but it's not. I already,
So she was a staff writer for most of season 2. She gets solo credits starting season 3. With Dead Man's Party, Beauty and the Beast, The Wish, Consequences, and The Prom.
Those are good.
She wrote Living Conditions, Wild at Heart, Doomed, Goodbye Iowa, New Moon Rising, Buffy v. Dracula, Into the Woods, and Forever. Bargaining, so the season 6 premiere. Wrecked and Villains. And for season 7, it says uncredited for some reason on IMDb, but I guess she had a part Conversations with Dead People, which is a
Oh,
fantastic.
I love that episode so much.
Yeah, and then Bring on the Night, which I'm trying to remember that one.
Is that not the last one?
Giles returns with 3 potential slayers.
Oh no, that's like in the middle of the season.
So
Okay,
it's heading towards towards the middle, yeah.
yeah, it's like okay. I yeah.
But incredible. I mean, like when we talk about like feminist work in horror, right? Buffy is always quoted. Buffy is always, and has unfortunately been sullied because of Joss Whedon. And so I think it's important to realize there are women who were involved who created these stories, and it really wasn't just him. And women who supported Sarah Michelle and Charisma Carpenter and Allison Hannigan and like the whole crew and
Amber Benson and
Amber Benson. We're trying to list everyone, but so it's so hard not to list the whole cast as we're shouting everyone out.
Yeah.
Was that?
Oh no, I was just saying those are the mains.
Yeah. But she did also write an episode of Angel. But I think Angel was mostly what's his name? Gordon something.
Yep.
It was the other sort of Buffy people.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know much of her involvement.
Drew Goddard. Sorry, Drew Goddard. I think took on Angel mostly. But she also created one of my favorite shows to only get 1 season. And that was Point Pleasant, which I've talked about on this show before.
You have.
Which is this, again, but like if you want us to take a feminist approach to a classic story, you take the child of the devil, make them the daughter of the devil, and a teen girl sort of going through all these teen angsts. She washes on shore at Point Pleasant, New Jersey. And what is it like for a 17-year-old girl to be the daughter of the devil? And it's very soapy and it almost has like a No Place vibe to it because it has like of that like One Tree Hill time period, right? But it is super fun, and to see where they take her character, because they got canceled, but they knew they were getting canceled, so they were able to go back and
thank God.
Yeah, I think they aired the last episode that aired was like 6 or 7 or something like that. But they were able to make 13 episodes with a reworked ending to make it a mini series. It was
good.
Oh, perfect. So, but that's also one
that never happens.
Yeah. Oh, and she also wrote the Fright Night remake. Yeah, but that one she did.
But I love the Buffy work.
Yeah, love the Buffy work.
Love the Buffy work.
And she's done other stuff too. I mean, because she's really big in the television world. So she did like Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, Mad Men.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Unreal, which was that Lifetime parody of like The Bachelor and all that stuff. Sharp Objects with Amy Adams. And she is doing I guess she's doing the Reese Witherspoon Tinkerbell movie.
Oh my God.
I don't know what that's all about. Is that like, I don't know if that's supposed to be like one of those like Disney live actions or it's like something different.
I have no idea.
Is this the Tinkerbell in the Poonaverse? Maybe.
I almost said the same thing actually when you said. I was like, I wonder if it's part of the same thing as the.
Yeah. Oh,
Tinkerbell was in the list of things. I think
Buffy was so cool.
Cool. I really need to read. Buffy is everything. The Bible for me. Like I'm a massive Buffy fan. Massive.
A lot of who I was as a kid, like a teen growing up.
I'm telling you, as cheesy as it sounds, Buffy is a very big part of who I am today. Like 100%.
Yeah, here it's not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, there are people who didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I just wasn't super happy with all of the casting choices.
Yeah.
That's really
Mario had nothing to do with that.
Well, the original is just the original, right? It's iconic. It's hard to, but anyway.
It's hard to remake a lot of things, right? But yeah, so that's the last of my sort of behind the scenes shout outs. And then I have a couple of actors that I just sort of obsess over and just love their work in the genre. But Angel, who's next for you?
So my next one is an author, which I guess we're going to probably discuss the fact that this isn't technically horror, didn't start out that way, but, and that is the godmother of sci-fi, which is Mary Shelley. So if you're new here, I'm a huge Frankenstein fan.
Mm-hmm.
There's one. I
Thank
did
you.
put yours up that you got me for Christmas, but he's so small compared to he's right there.
Oh, because it is in like a
Yeah.
box.
And I'm wearing book earrings of one of the special edition covers.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So the thing is that, like, Mary Shelley was like a bit of a philosopher. Like the things that the things that she decided to cover when she did Frankenstein was, a lot of really great stuff about humanity and what it means to have a soul, and where your sense of self is versus all these things. So many things to say about that work, but it's also like the earliest written thing of science fiction.
Yeah.
And so, it's Frankenstein and roots is science fiction, not technically horror. But Frankenstein's monster grew into a horror icon
Mhm.
because of this book. And again, I there's a theme here, unintentionally so. The thing is that monster movies as a subgenre of horror and what they've become, whether they're on the sci-fi side or the horror side, it's this is where a lot of that started. And it's it's one of those things where, like, I feel like you can't talk about women influencing horror without talking about Mary Shelley. Like, you just can't do it. And then you've got the whole addition of like the way, and the story gets changed from time to time, and the way that the bride is interpreted is different based on who's making the movie, I guess. But the thing is like these characters as monsters were more human at times than the humans around them. And the things
Okay.
that this brings up and that you talk about in terms of considering when this came out, or I mean when the book was written, is it's just fascinating to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's so much deeper than just a monster movie. Like there are things that happen with the monster that, as a reader, even watching the adaptation. Well, I say the adaptation because there are others, but is
Yeah.
there? But like it's really hard stuff. It's not, oh, I made this cool thing and everything is peachy. Like, there's a lot of really bad stuff that happens in this story. And so, but yeah, I mean, she started this whole concept of science fiction, at least from a written standpoint, is one of the earliest recorded, of that as a subgenre, as a genre. But it just impacts so many things. Frankenstein's monster later being turned into a film, by Universal, and becoming what it did. And he is a horror icon. He is one of the originals that when
Yeah.
you think of original horror characters, a lot of people will think of Frankenstein. And it's because of the book she wrote. And it just is, just like with Creature from the Black Lagoon, it has created so much influence in the monster world of horror. And it's just makes it easy to just love it. So can't have a list without talking about Mary Shelley.
Absolutely. What year did her book come out? It was like 18. Not to put you on the spot. I was just curious. I couldn't. I
No,
couldn't.
you're cool. I thought I knew it, but then I was like, yeah, 1818.
1818. Wow.
And then the movie
That
came out in
predates
the
Bram Stoker.
30s. Huh?
Was that?
What were you saying?
You said it was 1818.
Mhm.
Oh wow. So it predates
Um,
Bram Stoker. I think like
yeah,
Bram's. Yeah,
right.
Dracula
'Cause
was
that came
later.
out in, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And then because the movie didn't come out, the movie wasn't made until the 30s,
Right. Right.
early.
I'm thinking of the original like book novel. What?
Right, right.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. No. So iconic. I mean, think about how much that's influenced in terms of just like leading to Frankenstein, because everything gets references like Frankenstein-esque, right? Well, we have Lisa Frankenstein this year, right?
Yeah. But it
Uh,
does, you're right, though. It's influenced a bunch of stuff. Like, I mean,
right.
and then even not even just talking about what it's done for horror, but what it did for science fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, how many like Reanimator? That is a Frankenstein-esque story. I realize
Oh,
it's more
absolutely.
leaning towards, but it is. I mean, it influenced so many things.
I mean, the whole like
Not just
mad
in the horror
scientist
world, but
trope,
on the
right?
sci-fi side of things too.
Yeah. I know. So it's a really good pick. Yeah, my husband actually just got me, not just got, I forget what he was in Barnes and Noble, and I guess they were sort of as a special thing they were giving. I don't know if they were selling it. It was like it was just a little mini paperback of her book with like a special edition cover. I wish I should have brought it down because I knew you were going to bring her up. I should have brought it
Yeah.
down, but it was just like a cute little like they had a cover made just for it, and it was like a little Barnes and Noble edition.
Yeah. Well, and I know the other thing that's really cute. I know the other thing she wrote was the Modern Prometheus, but I don't know enough about that to talk about it. So
Oh shoot, no, I don't.
the biggest thing for me was Frankenstein and Frankenstein's mom. Which, for the record, stop telling people that the monster's name is not Frankenstein. We know that. We just don't want to say Frankenstein's monster. That's a lot of syllables.
It's a lot.
You know what we mean when we say that. Cut it out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's not the same as when people call Link Zelda. So stop treating it like it's the same thing. It's not
right. Those are literally two different people.
Those are literally two, like not even close, and not that many syllables. So
right. I mean, did the monster get an official name? No,
he's just the monster.
Just the monster, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's too funny. So my second to last person that I wanted to talk about. So now I have two actors that. I obviously we always think of like the iconic women in horror on screen, like your Jamie Lee Curtis's, your Janet Leigh's, your Sigourney Weaver's, your Neve Campbell's, all But for this woman was probably one of the first actresses that I just absolutely grew obsessed with as a kid, and that's Lily Taylor. She's very, she pops up in a lot of stuff, but people never call her a scream queen. But I think she very much has earned. I mean, at this point, I'm looking at 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 horror movies that she's done. 8 horror movies and a TV show. But she's done, The Haunting was the first thing I saw her in as Nell, and I thought her version of Nell was she's just such an endearing, like the way that she portrays her character.
You just care. Yeah.
You care about her immediately.
Totally.
She carries like the weight of the world on her shoulders as these characters, and she does it without.
Oh, I've got goosebumps. Yeah.
With just a look, right? But yeah, in The Haunting, I mean, the mom as the mom in The Conjuring.
Yep.
She did she did the werewolf vampire series, Hemlock Grove.
Hemlock Grove. Yeah, she was Peter's mom. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was in
fantastic in that too. Very edgy compared to some of her other roles. I loved her.
That was edgy. That was her edgiest thing.
Yeah, she was. It felt like it was like out of character, but I mean that as like it was really showing that she could do more than what we were used to seeing her do.
Sort of that sweetheart role. Right?
Yeah, no, she was like. Yes. Yeah, she was so good in that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. And then she was in Leatherface, and then she were in The Nun. They sort of just showed her briefly. The TV series Chambers, and I think it was a Netflix series, not a Netflix movie, Eli. She was in that as well.
Yep, and she was good in Eli and Chambers.
And just
I thought Chambers was going to come back, but it never did. It ended up just being one season, and it ends kind of like on a crazy note. So I'm surprised, but no, she was good in that too.
Yeah. And I don't know if she has anything upcoming per se, but she's done a lot. Obviously outside of horror as well. I mean, her repertoire is huge. Mystic Pizza and I think what else she was in. Oh gosh, what's the movie she was in? I think with Kathy Bates. Trying to look through. I don't want to waste too much time. But she even did an episode of The X-Files. She did, just all over the place. Yeah. But so Lily Taylor, I think she's a scream queen to me.
No, she's great. She's in so many things horror-wise. Fantastic book so far. It's still ahead of its time. We still aren't ready for it, honestly. No.
No, it says so much.
So good. Yeah, no, I think she's fantastic. I love Lily.
Yeah. So who's next? I know I took one of yours.
I've got. So my last one is an author. And I told you I was going to go down this rabbit hole with this one, so I'll try to keep it condensed though. So there is a woman by the name of Catherine Ramsland. She's a PhD in forensic pathology, and she wrote a book called "Everything You Wanted to Know But Were Afraid to Ask About Vampires."
Oh,
Or no, it's just called, I'm sorry, it's called The Science of Vampires. One of the chapters I'm going to reference is the long title. It's
okay.
called The Science of Vampires. And it approaches the stories of vampires as where basically where the mythos came from, like
Oh,
talking about why vampires always had long hair, why their teeth were said to be sharp, where all these dirt things and mirrors and all these things. And it is a
yeah.
book that dissects the lore and talks about it coming from actual beliefs through the test of time from when the very first story of the vampire was ever told. um and it's told through a forensics lens, and it's really cool. She did some other stuff too, though. So I consider The Science of Vampires my Bible. I've owned 3 copies of it in my life. I'm gonna have to buy a 4th because I've no idea where it is unless it's in the garage from the last move. But I've owned multiple copies because when I lose one, I don't feel correct and I need to get another one. Um, but one of the chapters, and this is what I was starting to say when I was saying the title because it was in my head. One of the titles in the chapters is everything you wanted to know but were afraid to ask about vampire sex. And it approaches this subject, this silly, like funny thing from the perspective of like, what could a dead body actually do? And it's just such an interesting, like, it's not meant to be super. I mean, there's a sense of humor to it, but it's a very scientific approach to these things and where they came
Yeah.
from. And so after she wrote The Science of Vampires, she went on to do this series of like, I don't think they ever got printed. They were like on a web series, maybe, or maybe it was on a blog, or I can't remember, something like that. But she did a series on this underground cult that lived their lives based on the Anne Rice novels. So like
Wow.
she found this group of people and she like dissects like Anne Rice takes on vampires, which is Anne Rice is huge. Like that's a big deal when
Yeah.
you're talking about vampires. And anyway, so and then she went to stay with these people who lived that lifestyle and just kind of followed them around and talked to them and got to know them and got this information. And so she took a very normal job and just kind of went into this thing of interest. And I think it's cool. Like I would love to talk to her, like maybe one day. I think she's still
Yeah.
alive. I know she's older. But like when I got this book, oh my gosh, I need this book. It sounds so fab. It is. Is this Sophie like Sophie, like Soph from Twitter? I didn't want to assume, but is that who this is, Sophie? Um, and so but yeah, like I remember reading this book in high school in my vampire era, and I was just like, this woman knows everything. Like I was
Oh,
obsessed with this book. I like carried it with me to school every day. Like it was like a whole thing. It was like my personality for like a year and a half. And so anyway, so but she just, I love that she went in such a what could potentially be a not super interesting job and
yeah.
then used it to dissect and break down, you know, this whole thing, this whole fandom. Because back when that book was written and the Anne Rice, even though Anne Rice was written a while ago, it was still very big when I was in high school. And that's when we
Yeah.
started getting we had, you know, our Interview with the Vampire movies. We had was it the Queen of the Damned? And we had these movies and stuff coming out. This was before Twilight. Twilight was after I graduated high school, but like it was a really big deal to talk about vampires. And then to just approach them from like the scientific, what happens to the body and why those things happening is what makes the lore was like super
That's
fascinating.
really clever.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing about like, oh, good. I didn't want to like react that way. And then it wasn't you. Hi, Sophie. Thanks for coming by. Isn't it like super late over there where you live right now? We love you. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, I had to mention it. It was just, it just like, it was like a book. I feel like that changed my life. That sounds so dramatic, but I loved it. And it really was like something that I connected with at an age where I didn't connect with anything because I was a teenager. So Catherine Ramsland, she's a PhD in forensic pathology, and she wrote a book called The Science of Vampires. And if you never read another book in your life, that should be the last one because it is so good. And it's such an interesting read about science and mythos and how the two came to be this huge thing that it is now. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I too had my high school, vampires in high school craze. So I feel like I wish I found that book. But yeah, no, I mean, at that point, I did have Twilight, because I think 05, 06, so Twilight was happening, but people were still reading Interview. I mean, Buffy had just ended not that long before.
Yeah, Buffy ended when I was in high school. We
Yeah,
graduated a
so
couple
it's
years
crazy.
apart. I graduated in 07.
Oh, 9. Not that.
But I don't think the Twilight movies were out yet, were
The
they?
movie, no, the first movie was when I was a senior.
Okay, so I was out of high school by the time the first movie, but the books were popular.
Yeah, no, the books
Yeah,
were
the
making the
books were
rotations.
popular.
So
Yeah.
prior to the movies, like the books were sort of like this weird, because they were not explicit at all. But for like a teenager that experienced none of that, we were like,
It
"Ooh,
felt
this is so sexy. Read this book. This is this is so romantic. Read this book." It sort of became this whole thing.
and
But
then we saw the movies and we were like, "Oh, well, it's
no,
different seeing it on the screen.
this doesn't play the same way as it did in my head.
This feels cringy." Yeah, but I worked until so sometime. Oh, well, thanks for spending it with us. I hope you had a good day at work or a good
Yeah.
night at work. She lives in the UK, I think.
Oh, okay.
They're
So
like
just like
5 hours ahead of us.
yeah, so it's like early morning then.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, so had to talk about Catherine Ramsland. I like idolize her. She's like, and to think too, like as a teenager, that was a grown ass woman that wrote that book. And I'm like, grown people like vampires too. I knew it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, I
as a
mean,
teenager, it's different.
grown people were young people who then grow up and you like what you like still, and there ain't nothing
It's
wrong with
so
that. I
good.
mean,
I'll have to see if I can find the stuff about the Anne Rice cult stuff because that was fascinating stuff. I
that's
don't think
really
I
cool.
had it
I had
in
no
a
idea that was
book.
a
I
thing.
feel like I read it online, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that. That's wild.
Yeah. But anyway.
But yeah, no, my last shout out is just another horror scream queen, if you will, that I guess people don't refer to her as a scream queen, but she really definitely is Vera Farmiga, who I think is an incredible actor.
Mhm.
Um
Much
what
better than her sister.
oh Thaisa, who again also tried to be a scream. They both the Scream sisters, I guess. But no, Vera I think is phenomenal.
I love her. Yeah.
She deserved an Emmy for Bates Motel. Uh,
God, that was so, so good.
Yeah, she's so good as the mom.
She did such a great job.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
1
UK,
a.m.
it's now 1
Oof.
a.m. Yeah.
Although
I knew it
I
was
can't,
late.
I can't judge. I stay up that late playing video games sometimes, so.
I stay up that late, just not being
Or
able to turn
watching a
my brain
movie,
off.
catching up on something
Yeah.
that we're covering, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I mean Vera. I mean between her, so Bates Motel, The Conjuring. What else is she? So I have,
Mhm.
I mean, so all of Orphan. She was
Oh,
in
I forgot she was an orphan.
Orphan. Joshua, which I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I know that one.
Is there another big horror one that she was in though?
There's Captive State.
I can't remember.
That one's with John Goodman.
Bates.
No, I can't think of. I mean, obviously she was in Godzilla.
Yeah.
Nah, we don't have to talk about her role in that one.
I hated her in King of Monsters. Like don't. I won't. I'll shut up right now.
I think
I
that's
was
a
like,
character issue because I think
yes,
Vera's
it's
phenomenal. No
not
matter
her.
what.
It was the writing I had an issue with.
It was
She's
the writing.
phenomenal. I love her.
But she was also in some sci-fi as well. Obviously, yeah, Godzilla. But she was in the Hawkeye, which was very good. I wish they gave her a little bit more to do in that Marvel series. Electric Dreams. So that's her sci-fi. So actually, a couple more though. But and then thriller-wise, I'm just going by genre here. A lot of things I had not heard of.
Yeah.
But obviously, being a horror fan, my eyes are on her horror films. So
Yeah, no, for sure. Same. Yeah.
So Vera and Lily, they're my unsung horror queens. I know people love Vera, but I think her name belongs right up there with like Jamie Lee and all of them. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are the way that I wanted to show. I mean, obviously, there are many more. There are many more. And I think that's why it should be more than just March. But we should be. But we're going. I mean, I know we do. Like, that was sort of the point that I guess you made at the beginning, right? It's like we try, we do, and then we go.
I think we actually do better at focusing on queer women and people of color than we do the other. I think we primarily focus on that stuff anyway. But yeah,
That is fair. I mean, I always think of like Coffee Crypt when we do like trailers and stuff. Like, yeah, we put it in the mainstream, but it's like we're always like, oh, look at this indie thing that's
we
coming up
do
in it.
get the smaller stuff, and
You know, I'm
it's
always like, we gotta boost that just because like that's exciting. That's like anyone who's sort of not in the mainstream. And I know this is sort of a cliche to say, and like it's a little cheesy, but like anyone who's on the fringe in some way, like those are the ones that are usually pushing art forward.
I mean, I'm not a fan of this movie, but just look at what Deadstream did for found footage as a subgenre. That's an
Hmm.
indie film.
Yeah.
That's just him and his wife. And people ate Deadstream up. I mean, I'm telling you, after Deadstream came out on Shudder, I couldn't even tell you how many people were all of a sudden interested in found footage. People that never talked about it before were like, I need more found footage Rex. I need to watch more of it. I need to see more. And
Yeah.
it's because an indie filmmaker got something on Shudder that then introduced people to this thing that's been around for a long time, but that's okay. Better late than never, I guess.
Everything needs a resurgence, right? I think it's
But
just
it's
sort of there's
cute. Like,
always one thing.
it matters. And I'm telling
Yeah.
you, like the year before 2022, when we had that surge of all those crazy good movies, so many of my favorite movies were indie films. They beat out the main guys like 10-0 found footage rule, of
Oh yeah.
course. Even I didn't really like Deadstream, but I do like what it did for found footage. That I deeply appreciate. But you're 100% right. Those
Yeah.
are the people who are game changers, not these mass-produced PG-13 horror movies, Blumhouse.
Sorry if you hear crinkling. I'm just getting some shout out stuff ready because I know we wanted to talk about
Oh
the
yes. No, you're
stickers.
fine. Yeah.
There's a little bit of ASMR for you guys out there. Um, where is the? I'm trying to. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it just wasn't in the
No,
bag.
you're fine. I just figured we're not very we always forget to self-promote. So
Yeah, I know.
um,
Before we wrap up, I mean, I wanted to because we, part of our Patreon, one of our tiers is the Bone Collectors, and so that is our sticker club. So this was just a look back at our February pick. If it
mhm.
forever. This was a special 3-year anniversary. Yeah, 30-year anniversary edition. So you can't really see it, but the 3 in forever, the E is a 3. So this is for the 3 years of
Like the
voices.
girls in the hall forever and ever. Anyway.
And Angel has been putting these together, which you're doing a beautiful job because they're incredible.
Thanks.
And this is the March Madness one for this month.
It says, "Beware the Ides of March."
So really cool skull
I'm
art in
actually
our.
quite proud of that one.
It's really going in our signature voices green.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Did you get the other ones printed for next month yet,
Well,
or?
they're coming to you, so they're not. I
Oh,
don't think
that's right. So I did not get them yet.
you
So
don't
yeah,
have
okay.
them yet. But we'll give you a sneak. I'll tell you what it is without showing you the design. What's the next month? April. April sticker is actually a special edition Coffee Crypt sticker. So it's the Coffee Crypt logo, but it's a special edition version of it.
That's
So that'll be, and it's not technically too late to still sign up for that tier if you want to get that sticker.
absolutely. Oh yeah. So I think grace period. We usually say if you're a Patreon member by the second week of the month.
Second. Yeah.
Yeah. You've made the cut for that one. And then so we have so many of these, so they are exclusives, but down the line we will do special giveaways like a retro callback giveaway. So there'll be other chances to get these,
Yep.
but they are limited quantity. But I'm just keeping them nice and safe, so that way when we do
Yeah.
any sort of throwback, maybe by the end of the year, maybe we'll do a special where you get one of every month or something.
Yeah, because we're gonna have extras, I think. Did you see that Tasha literally got the one you sent out in the mail on March 15th?
That's great.
She was like, I love this so much. I was like, well, good. I was like, yeah, I saw as part of the design and it just kind of like came out that way, but I thought that one turned out really cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then but yeah, so that is for the Bone Collectors, but our other tiers which haven't popped off just yet. I think for the tier up from that, I should have had everything pulled down to talk about it. But I think the $10 tier is our I think that is our hangouts.
I'm only laughing on the inside because like you were the one that organized them because I couldn't remember them.
Now, but you know what it is? I'm just so.
Okay.
It's been a minute since I thought about it.
So I got it. So the recently deceased is it's $1 tier and you get your name in the credits on all of our major episodes. The Mystics is the $3 tier, which gives you the access to the Discord channel, bonus episodes, and an automatic entry for all giveaways. And that also, and then of course, obviously your name in the credits. The next tier is the Bone Collectors, which is only $5 a month for the exclusive stickers. I was trying to keep that in. It wasn't working.
Oh.
I got to hit next. Okay. The Grave Diggers is $10 a month. There's only 10 of those. It's a fun monthly event that we're going to do. Events will include, but are not limited to, an online happy hour, trivia night, movie, TV watch party, that sort of thing, which gives you Discord access and obviously your name in the credits. And then the last one is the Crypt Keepers, which is $20 a month. And that is a Voices producer credit at the end of every show. And after 2 months of producing, you get a free Voices producer t-shirt, which will be a special design. Nobody else will have it except people in this tier. Plus, producers will be given the opportunity to decide topics we discuss on the show. Topics can be for existing shows or be bases of their own separate episodes. Discord access, name in the credits.
And everything behind. So lots a lot of goodies. So yeah, so the Bone Collectors Club has been the most popular thus far. But there's plenty of room for the stickers. Then and then everything else. So we haven't had any special events just yet. So we'll have to maybe we'll think of something special to promote that. Or, I don't know. The gears are always turning.
Yeah. And for ease, the Patreon link is in the description for this episode if you want to check it out. Everything goes directly back into the channel. Nobody's taking vacations, I promise.
No, everything goes right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, you know.
And we do have so many things that we want to do, and we're hoping that, you know, as we continue to see growth, we'll be able to do more. And just for anybody curious, it does not change the current content on any level. It's going to be the same consistency, the same level of passion and excitement, the same craziness, same as always. These are just going to be extra bonus things for people who want to support in that way. So,
yeah.
And if you're on the list, thank you so much, because we do have a few. And it's super meaningful to us. So every little bit is appreciated. So thank you to the people who have signed up.
Yeah. Oh, we should shout out our 3 Patreons. So we have Tasha, we have Matt Gilman, right, and Robert Clark.
Geek Thulu. Creepy and Geeky Podcast. Yep.
Creepy and Geeky Podcast. Thanks. Yeah. I'm going by the names I'm seeing as I'm sending out stickers. So Geek Thulu.
Yes. Robert. Yeah. Robert is the host of the podcast Creepy and Geeky.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate it. And man, to everyone watching, thank you. You know, this has been fun. And I'm hoping we do something similar again next March. I think it's the gears are turning. I don't want to promise anything. I want to you and I are going to talk about it, but we got a lot.
And then the only other like housekeeping type thing I wanted to bring up is Steve and I are reading through some stories right now for a werewolf charity anthology we are putting together. We haven't revealed the cover yet, but the title is going to be Howlin' for You, and it's a werewolf anthology full of werewolf horror stories. And it's for a charity that is not that far from Steve.
Yeah, so I'm going to be heading there. Like once the anthology is put together, I'm going to be presenting it to the charity, introducing what the book is about.
Yeah.
Why this the cause is important to us. And just to share that we're doing that, and then proceeds are going to be going to them, and maybe we'll hopefully get them on the channel. I'd love to sort of maybe get a tour of the facilities.
Oh God, I'm going to be so jealous, but I hope that you do.
Yeah.
It is the Wolf Conservation in South Salem, New York.
Yeah.
I can't remember which city it was in.
It's literally like 15 minutes like that one.
That's so cool. Yeah. So all of the proceeds, everything that is made profit-wise off of these books is going to go straight to them. I know we talked about, we're probably going to do a charity live for it. We're going to do a lot of things to try to really amp up numbers for this, because it's a big deal. All of the species of wolves that they have there, which is quite a few, are either like very much on the cusp of extinction, or they're very high risk. Their numbers are dwindling. That's cool, guys. Thank you,
No,
Mary. Yeah.
thank you.
And so it's something that, we believe in and we're really excited to do. So if you're interested in checking out the guidelines or the website for the conservation that we're going to be submitting to, or sending our profits to, there's a link for that in the description as well. We are like so pumped. The cover is going to be amazing. It already looks really, really good. I'm so excited for it. Kat Velour is going to be writing the introduction for this. And well, I'll leave the other thing because it's not finished yet. But then there's one other really big thing. I'm super excited about this, but I can't talk about it yet. But
no, yeah, coming down soon.
It's gonna be really good. And I think this is gonna be a really special anthology, and it's going to a really great cause. And we need to do what we can, because it's our fault that these animals are in the situation that they're in. So and the conservation of South Salem has live den cams, and like they're not kennels. What are they called? Their outside area, whatever that's called.
Oh, I don't know what you call that.
Their outside area where they run around and stuff and play when they're outside. They have cameras out there, and you can watch them live.
Yeah, like their environments. They're a little
Environment. That's a better
whatever
word.
you call them. I don't know.
And they are so cute. Like I go and watch them constantly because they're so cute. But there's so many different ones, and they have clips of like when they've had pups, and oh my God, so cute. And it's really cool that you get that access to be able to see and check in on them. And it's just really cool to see. And they've got blurbs about all the different wolves and who they are and what type of wolf they are. And it's just brilliant. And so it's really exciting to put together something that's going to go to such a good cause. So if you're interested in checking them out or submitting a story, the guidelines and everything are in the link in the description below.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. And yeah, I'm like, I can't wait to go check it out myself and just actually get to.
I'm so jealous. Maybe if I can ever convince myself to come visit you in New York, I'll be able to go. I would love to go.
Once everything's sort of like printed and like officially published, we'll have to maybe sort of do something. I definitely would love to have them come on the channel.
Yeah.
Now we're just chit chatting a little bit about it, like just like brainstorming out loud. But
yeah.
Have them like come on a live or something to even talk about it.
I would love to do all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Write it up and send it.
Yes.
Yeah. He's pulling a they when you put the glasses on. See. Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited about the charity anthology a lot. So anyway, just wanted to plug that too really quick.
Trying to get both to. Oh yeah.
Is there one in Connecticut? Is that the point?
Or you just want us to visit Connecticut? I mean, I've been there plenty of time. I mean, I got family there, so I mean, I can come.
They got a lot of spooky stuff in Connecticut.
Yeah, I mean, I know Rick told me I got to get a piece of pizza from there. So.
Oh my God, yes, I forgot about that. Yes.
So I got to go get pizza from Connecticut, even though New York pizza. We're not going to get into that, but.
Yeah, got some horror spots. Yeah, I know there's.
That's
a lot
cool.
Of stuff
yeah, wedefinitely.
But anyway, I just wanted to plug that too, because we're a little less. We got a little less than 2 weeks left in submissions, and we're closing it April 1st. The guidelines are simple. Make it werewolf. Make it unique. Unique is the key. We want unique werewolf takes. Werewolves are not. We don't see them nearly enough in horror, and we want to see more. The word count's 1,500 minimum, 4K max. Yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff.
There's so much in Connecticut. New England's like ripe for. I mean, that was like settlers.
Shit, I know.
New England,
yeah,
all the shit went down here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, so yeah. Right. Give us stories. We need more stories.
More stories. Yeah, I forgot how many submissions we have thus far, but they're coming in. But we definitely want a nice variety. So send them, please.
Yes. Yeah, we're excited. So, and not to brag, but Steve and I have come up with some really badass ideas for contributor packages, and they're going to be really, really good. So,
yeah, they're going to be
just to sweeten the deal, since it's not a paid entry because it's a charity anthology. I promise a contributor package will be worth it. That I can promise you.
Howling for those.
That's right. Anyway, yeah. So thanks everybody that came and chatted and hung out. Sophie, if you're still here, it was amazing to see you in chat. I hope to see that in the future some more. Horror Fiend always coming in with support, and Rick and Radar and Nora and all our besties. With none of the girl besties made it.
I know all these men and
But
the supporting
Sophie
women.
did.
Oh,
Sophie is Soph is a bestie. But Horror Fiend and Radar and Rick and Nora and all dudes. But that's okay. We love supportive men too.
That's good.
So Soph, thank you for taking one for the team and being here to represent women.
Thank you, Soph.
Well,
like, I'm coming from the men's side of things, so you know.
Yeah, but it's like it's very specific men's side of things. You know what I mean?
Fair. Saying the only the annoying ones is that
Oh yeah, especially the one on Horror Fiend TV. I'm just kidding. So tomorrow we have our interview with Radar that's coming out. Friday we're wrapping up. We're not wrapping up. We got one more. We're doing Ghost Dimension.
And the next again will be the following week, and then we'll be going into some
other
new
stuff.
films.
And then next Tuesday we are having an Angels Back live, where we're going to be chatting with a bunch of our friends about medical and surgical horror.
Yeah.
As I talk about my quick surgery update and am like back for real. And yay. Yeah.
They're gonna be cool.
I think they're going to be, I'm really excited about these. I mean, I'm always excited about contributor packages, but this is for a really good cause. So Steve and I wanted to like really make sure that we put some love and some special in these boxes for you guys, or for the people who get into the anthology. And so anyway, I digress. I think that's all I had, but I just, so if you like chatting with the lives, we'll be back again next Tuesday, doing a live. It'll be us and Kat and Norin and Tasha and Chris.
Yeah, it's gonna be a crowd. It's gonna be awesome.
6 people. Whew.
It's gonna be a blast. Yeah, this is like the Brady Bunch around here.
It is, and a couple of us are chatterboxes. So it should be.
I'll have to get the gavel ready.
Even though I need someone to gavel between me and Chris and maybe Tasha, like it's gonna be like, all right, can someone else please talk? I'll do my best to control myself.
We're gonna need like.
But I know me and Chris can get going. When we start going, we go.
I love it though. That just means it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be super fun. So check that out next Tuesday. We'll be promoting it and stuff. But anyway, in the meantime, thanks again to everybody in chat that came by and chatted and hung out with us. Always glad to have you guys come and interact with us and take the time to watch and chill.
Thank you.
I think that's gonna wrap us up for this one. I'm gonna go play Stardew Valley.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. I've been playing some Final Fantasy, so not Stardew Valley, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited. You can have turtles in the new one. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I got to build my first coop. I don't know.
Oh, the chicken coop?
I'm like so early on. I'm like, it's so to start. It's so slow. This is such a tangent. I know this isn't a Stardew Valley thing. But like it's so slow to make money in the beginning. I'm like, okay, I got to build some cool stuff now.
But once you start,
yeah, I mean,
so in our game, because I play with Addie, I just started my own, but we play together, and you know, like we built it up. We're on year 4. Like we've been playing it for a minute, and we played a lot of hours, and so that's why I'm tired all the time. And so, but we got to a point recently where we had like 300,000 in gold, right? Okay. We spent 200,000 of I spent 200,000 of it on the furniture catalog, because if you buy the catalog, then you can just have access to every furniture thing that exists.
Right.
And we had just upgraded our house, and it needed furniture, so I spent 200,000 gold on the furniture catalog. And then
like real life, but then they'll be like weird. Like so, I'll tell Dan like, yeah, I'm just growing some turnips right now, and then like 5 minutes later, I'll be like, yeah, I just met a wizard.
Oh, so seriously, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you this, because if it happens, I just want to hear your reaction when it happens. But there is this one random, because you know the game is a random generator. You never know what you're going to get. There is this one random event that involves a witch that killed me. Like I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Have you gotten? So you just started. So you haven't gotten to the night market. When there's a night market. that comes to town. We'll have to talk about that too. There's a lot of weird stuff,
Yeah, I
like
mean, I did just
really
do an Easter egg
trippy.
hunt, which was cute.
The Easter egg hunt is so cute. Addie like tries to beat up the kids to get all of the eggs. She won. So we've done it 3 times. She won 2 of the 3 times.
That's so funny.
But anyway, I digress. But no, it's such a cute game, and I just unlocked blue chickens, which is like life changing.
That's amazing. I know. I heard there's like a thing like void chickens. I don't know.
The void chickens, we also have one of those.
I don't know much about them. I just heard. I know
It's a
that's
demon looking chicken. It's a black chicken with red eyes.
Scary chicken.
And it lays black and red polka dotty eggs.
Oh, demon chicken. I love it.
It's so cute. Anyway.
Anyway, digressing from Stardew.
Anyway, so yeah, okay. So that's gonna wrap up this episode. Women in horror. Patreon, werewolf anthology, links are in the description. Thanks again to all our friends. Yeah, make sure you check out the interview tomorrow with Radar. It was a great conversation as always. So we'll be boosting that tomorrow. And then if you're into the paranormal activity series, that comes out on Friday. Otherwise, we will see you guys next Tuesday. So thanks again for hanging out. Have a good rest of your week, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.